do some introductions and then as we have a few more people hopping on. But thank y'all for joining us today for our FAFSA webinar, which is about financial aid and how to find money for college or career school. My name is Monica McCune. I'm one of the counselors here at Enlightium, and I'll be presenting this for you. I want to introduce you to all of our other counselors. Myself, as I mentioned, Miss Wade, um, Miss Angie Van Egdom, Miss Alicia Whitaker, Miss Kim Bogler, and Hillary Benedict. And I will provide all of their contact information at the end of this webinar so that you can reach out to them if you have additional questions. And we will go ahead and get started here. What we're going to talk about today is federal student aid, and this is money that comes from the government. There's also state student aid, and for that, because we're all over the place, you'll be looking at your own individual states for that. Then there's institutional aid and scholarships from other sources. And hopefully the questions that we'll be answering are, what is financial aid? Who can get it? How much can I get? How do I apply? What happens next? And where can I get more information about all of this? Financial aid is money for educational expenses for college or career schools. And I often want to really let kids know, I have kids sometimes say, I don't think I can afford to go to college or I can't afford to go to tech school. There's a lot of money out there available. So part of why we're sharing this information is that everybody has an opportunity to fill out these applications for federal aid. That money may come in form of grants, work study funds, loans, or scholarships. And as you'll see, there's lots of live links here. We're going to post this webinar once we get done, and you all can always go back and revisit it. Financial aid is money that goes towards your tuition. Grants are what we really love because those don't have to be repaid. Those are grants from the federal government. Typically, those are based on financial need. Work study funds can be earned by having a job on campus, and then that money would go towards your educational expenses. Loans obviously have to be repaid, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then scholarships typically do not have to be repaid, and they're based on academic merit and also sometimes specific interests and hobbies, all kinds of different scholarships that are made available to you. We'll talk a little bit about who is eligible for financial aid. And this is not a complete comprehensive list. So again, you're going to want to check this link at the bottom. But typically, U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen, you must have completed high school in order to be able to apply. And like I said, have a diploma of sorts. And the student would need a valid Social Security number and satisfactory academic progress. So please know that any monies you get can always be taken back if you do not stay in good academic standing. Who can get other kinds of financial aid? States, colleges, private scholarships, all have their own eligibility criteria. So it's kind of up to the student to look for those and fill out those applications. You want to make sure, we'll talk more on down the road about scholarships specifically. And you need to know ahead of time what the deadlines are, what you need to qualify for that scholarship, and have all of that information ready. All right, so there's a big question. How much federal student aid can I get? And please know that this is not a guarantee that you will get this amount, but that's the part of filling out your financial aid application, is that they then determine kind of how much money you're eligible for. And it depends on your own financial needs and how much your family might be contributing. Financial need determined by the student aid index and the cost of attendance. So some schools cost more than others. Well, they're going to give you what you would need as far as tuition goes, depending on the university that you're attending or the school that you're attending. And the SAI comes from your FAFSA form after you complete it. As we mentioned, so this is the total amount that you can get. A federal Pell Grant is probably the most significant amount of money one could get, and that amount right now. And this could change because they rolled out a new FAFSA just last year, and they're still tweaking some of this a little bit, but this is pretty much in general a good idea. From a Pell Grant, which is money you do not have to pay back, you can get $7,395 that will go towards tuition. You can work on, like I said, on campus, federal work study programs. Then after that, you'll get direct subsidized or unsubsidized loans, which you do have to pay back. And that tops out at $5,500. And then parents can always apply for a Student Parent Plus loan. And again, this link right here will give you plenty of information about each of those. This was the link I was talking about. You can actually even go in there and it'll give you a little estimate. Could you click on that, Susanna, please? Thank you. All right. So this just gives you an idea. You can go in and put in some numbers and get an idea about what you might be eligible for. Okay, how much state, school, and private scholarship money can I get? Obviously, this varies for every student. State aid, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to do some research in your own state. I might recommend that you could reach out to college and career facilitators at your local high schools and see if they could, they may have a site that you can go to see what scholarships specifically are available to your area. The majority of the money is going to come from the actual college that you plan on attending. Once you fill out your FAFSA, and we'll go over all of that here in a little bit, you fill out your FAFSA and they report it to the school that you plan to attend. And then the schools are all allotted X number of dollars. And then they kind of decide which scholarships you're eligible for. And you can do a free scholarship search at that website right there. Also, we're super excited about our new Zello program, and I know that Ms. Vogler's been working hard to try and get scholarship information updated for you there as well. All right, now for the fun stuff. How do we apply? All right, we're going to go first to the Federal Student Aid, FAFSA.gov, and we can click on this. And remember that this is a free application. That's what free application for federal student aid. So if you ever get an email or anyone saying that you need to pay to fill out this application, chances are that that is not correct information, and don't hesitate. I've had kids in the past send me emails like, Miss McCune, what do you think about this? They want me to pay this amount and guaranteeing that they'll get me some college money. We want to look at those things really closely. So this is your application, and we can click on the link just to give you an idea of what that looks like and how you would go in here. What you want to be sure to do, it's not there right now because the site doesn't go live until December 1st, but it will have the school year right there on that drop down. You'll be able to choose 25, 26. And then select the year that you're going to college, which would be the same. So that's just the page that you go to get started. Now let's start taking a look at some other things. The first thing that you'll need to do is to create a studentaid.gov account at any time. Y'all can actually go ahead and do that now and be one step ahead of the game. And what you're going to get there is a PIN that you'll need in order to complete your FAFSA. And we can probably take a look at that link as well. So that's what you'll need to do this first before you begin your application. You and your parents will both need to register there. And then this is where you start putting in some of your specific information. There'll be specific questions that you'll have to answer. But it really does kind of walk you right through it. Let me get to my next slide. You want to gather your documents ahead of time because it will take probably about an hour to fill it out. And it'll right here, this link will give you a list of all the things that you typically need in order to fill out your FAFSA. It'll be parents' taxes, any money that you have earned, and information like that that they will use to then determine how much aid you might be eligible for. And as we mentioned, you would apply at this site right here. You want to make sure that when you go in and apply, you're able to list, I think, 10 different schools that maybe you think you would want to go to. And if you already know, then you're ahead of the game. You would be able to select those schools, and then they'll send your FAFSA information to the financial aid office of the school that you're planning on going to. There's also lots of support there and links here for support as you go through this process. You're going to want to keep an eye out for your email. Make sure that the email you're using is one that you're going to have access to all the time, because that's where that information is going to be coming from. And once you create an account, it'll always kind of stay the same, the login information and all of that good stuff. You'll want to check your status after you apply by logging in each time. You'll click on a little My Activity section on your dashboard, and you can review your form carefully and make sure you didn't make any mistakes. You can make corrections to your FAFSA data if necessary. Once you've submitted it, you'd have to request a change. So make sure you take the time to do it correctly the first time. Again, we will blast it out. As I mentioned in the past, the FAFSA has opened up on October 1st, but because of the rollout last year, there were some problems. So they're doing kind of a soft rollout this year with a selected group of students, and then everyone else will be able to access the application beginning December 1st, if not earlier. And if we find out that they've gone ahead and released it earlier, then we will definitely email everyone and let everybody know that it's time to get on there and get that taken care of. And part of the reason you want to do it early is because obviously the funds are not unlimited. They might run out. So we definitely recommend that everybody do that in a timely fashion and as quickly as possible. And if you don't know what school you're going to, that's okay. You can still send the information to the financial aid office and just have it there ready to go until you decide which school you plan on attending. Okay, what will happen next? This, the financial aid officers at the universities will evaluate your application and what FAFSA says. The FAFSA, it's hard to say sometimes, especially at the end, how much you're eligible for, and then they will determine your award. They will send you a letter telling you what you're able to get from them. You don't have to accept it all. And then you obviously sign an agreement that you're accepting this money. And again, if you apply for loans, those are things that have to be paid back. So you want to, it might be that you have to patchwork things together. Maybe you get a small Pell Grant, a few other small scholarships, and then possibly take out loans if needed in order to get it all together. And again, that depends on where you're going to school and how much the tuition will be. And here is just a ton of resources. Here's the studentaid.gov where we said you would go to get your PIN number. All about information about aid and programs. Again, scholarship searches. These you'll find really, really helpful, I think. There's our Federal Student Aid Information Center hotline in case you run into problems. And then other help with the FAFSA form. Like I said, there's all kinds of resources to help you with it. It can seem a little daunting at first, but if you'll just hang in there and get it completed, it will pay off in the end. Does anyone have any questions? If so, we can chat them. I see a question from Miss Martinez. I go back. Hold on. Let me answer. She said, how early can she start working on it? Remember, I said it doesn't open until December 1st. So a lot of time. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're going to. Okay, hold on. Let me do one question at a time here. December 1st is when you can start your application. We are going to post this presentation on our website here shortly. So you'll have access to all of these links. Because I believe someone asked that question, which is a great question. Anybody else? All righty. Here on our last slide is your counselor's contact information. So as you're going through the process, if you have any questions, feel free to email whoever your counselor is, and we are happy to help you. Another, can international students apply for federal aid too? What kind of financial aid can international students get? It said that you have to be a U.S. citizen, and I guess maybe it depends on where you're going to go to school. If you plan on going to school here, then that would be a unique situation, and we can work with you on that. Caden says, what about exchange students? And again, we mentioned that you have to be a U.S. citizen or eligible. So we would have to just look at your specific individual case to determine that. Good questions. What else we got? Somebody said, I am in 10th grade. Does this information affect me? And do I need to do this now? That is a fantastic question. You cannot do this until you're a senior. So I love that you're here, all of our other grade levels, and you will do this, but not until your senior year, the fall of your senior year. Yes, and the colleges are great. Ms. Vogler says, colleges are amazing with providing information on international student financial aid. Okay, I think we're good. Last call. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you. Who can help international students with financial aid? Probably in most cases, the school that you're applying to can assist you with that. If you already know where you plan on going. Well, we will help you. You can talk to your counselor. That would be Miss Benedict. And our international students would reach out to the colleges that you're applying to. Good questions. Keep them coming. Is that it? Okay. Like I said, we will post this on the website in a few days. Once we get it set, and you can go back and access all of these links and all of this information again. Thank you all for joining us today.